He also called in a Predator B drone. As the unmanned aircraft circled 2 miles overhead the next morning, sophisticated sensors under the nose helped pinpoint the 3 suspects and showed they were unarmed. Police rushed in and made the first known arrests of U.S. citizens with help from a Predator, the spy drone that has helped revolutionize modern warfare. But that was just the start. Local police say they have used 2 unarmed Predators based at Grand Forks Air Force Base to fly at least 24 surveillance flights since June. The FBI and Drug Enforcement Administration have used Predators for other domestic investigations, officials said. We don't use drones on every call out, said Bill Mackey, head of the police SWAT team in Grand Forks. If we have something in town like an apartment complex, we don't call them. Great. The drones belong to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which operates 8 Predators on the country's northern and southwestern borders to search for illegal immigrants and smugglers. That's working out well. The previous unreported use of its drones to assist local, state, and federal law enforcement has occurred without any public acknowledgement or debate. Congress first authorized Customs and Border Protection to buy unarmed Predators in 2005. Officials in charge of the fleet cite broad authority to work with police, from budget requests to Congress that cite interior law enforcement as part of their mission. In an interview, Michael C. Kostelnik, a retired Air Force general who heads the office that supervises the drones, said Predators are flown in many areas around the country, and not only for federal operators, but for state and local enforcement and emergency responders in times of crisis. But former Representative Jane Harman, who sat on the House Homeland Security Intelligence Committee at the time and served as its chairwoman from 2007 until early this year, said no one ever discussed Predators to help local police, serve warrants, or do other basic work. Jane Harman has absolutely no leg to stand on, by the way. Using Predators for routine law enforcement without public debate or legal authority is a mistake, Harman said. Yes, this is Jane Harman, who has her own relationship with spying and surveillance. There is no question this could become something that people will regret, said Harman, who resigned from the House in February and now heads the Woodrow Wilson International Center for Scholars, a Washington think tank. In 2008, 2010, Harman helped beat back efforts by Homeland Security officials to use imagery from military satellites to help domestic terrorism investigations. Congress blocked the proposal on grounds that it violates the Posse Comitatus Act, which bars the military from taking a police role on U.S. soil. Well, that's all going away, folks. Here's Howard Safir. This is what he has to say. He's the former head of operations for the U.S. Marshals Service, and he's a former New York City Police Commissioner. He says, I am for the use of drones. He said drones could help police in manhunts, hostage situations, and other difficult cases. Privacy advocates say drones help police snoop on citizens in ways that push the current law to the breaking point. Anytime you have a tool like that in the hands of law enforcement that makes it easier to do surveillance, they will do more of it, said Ryan Kalo, Director for Privacy and Robotics at Stanford Law School's Center for Internet and Society. Yeah. Welcome. Welcome to the New World Order, kids. So here's a picture of the guy. His name is Rodney Brossart. And there he is. He's obviously Caucasian. And he looks pretty ragged. He's unshaven. He's got glasses. He's not great. But, you know, this is now the face of the new surveillance group, Rodney Brossart. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break here, and I'm going to play some music, and I'm going to duck into the chat room and hang out there for a little bit and come back and tackle the next 23 minutes of our show. All right, so what do we want to play? How about, let's do a little sound vibrations. So here we go. I'll see you in 5 minutes and 4 seconds. You're listening to the Monday Mashup. I'm Robert Phoenix.
One of nature's greatest wonders is the ability of the human ear to distinguish among the millions of sounds around us. Listen. You will hear later how these characteristics are determined by the frequency, intensity, and form of sound waves in the air. Recognize those sounds? Sure. Loudness and quality. It's these vibrations which your brain interprets as sound.
That was yours truly, Dominatrix, with sound vibrations. So I'm doing the show remotely, and every time I do it here on a Monday, these guys are actually right outside the window doing the same thing every Monday at the same time. I might have to change that. Maybe not do it here on Mondays. Anyway, it's 10:43 here in California, and I'm trying to go through some headlines here that are actually, pretty something that we can have pin some hope on, for lack of a better term. And I'm having a hard time coming up with that, but that's not to say that there aren't things that we can't grab onto and say, you know what, this actually makes sense, and we can use it as a light to get us through the dark days ahead. Let me see if I can find something here that would be worth. Well, let's put it this way: you could be living in Japan. Think about that. I mean, you could be hanging out close to Fukushima, although as time goes on, most of the planet is becoming Fukushima, so we don't necessarily want to use that as a point of contrast to make ourselves feel better. Apparently, the Swiss are getting ready for the collapse of the euro. This is from a website called Testosterone Pit. It says here, this is from last Thursday, the Swiss government is preparing for collapse of the euro, according to Swiss Finance Minister Evelyn Widmer-Schlumpf. She told Parliament that a work group was studying the imposition of capital controls and negative interest rates to protect Switzerland from the capital flight that a euro collapse would engender. A tidal wave of euros would drive up the Swiss franc, devastate Switzerland's export economy. What does Switzerland export again? Chocolate, maybe? And devalue its vast wealth invested in other countries. Already in August, the Swiss National Bank instituted a currency peg and swore to defend it by acquiring unlimited amounts of euros, a risky strategy if the euro were to collapse for the debacle leading up to the peg. Meanwhile, 27 heads of state convened in Brussels for another European Union summit to find that elusive solution to the debt crisis. I have a solution to the debt crisis. You ready? It's really radical and simple. Forgive the debt. Forgive it. Wipe it out. Start from zero. Start from zero. It's fallacious thinking, right, that there is actually a debt. Forgive the debt. If you are a debt holder, wouldn't you have some form of interest? And I'm not talking about compound interest. I'm talking about personal interest in a system that could sustain itself, right? That would somehow be able to continue to grow, so you as a debtor could continue to reclaim, if not your debt, at least your livelihood. Theoretically, I mean, think about that. I mean, it's a classic example of when does the parasite overcome the host? Because the body is riddled with parasites, and they're about to take the host down. And this is what the debt is. The debt is parasitic. There's a parasitic infestation upon the collective body. So if you were the parasite and you wanted to keep the host alive, wouldn't you like have some sort of safeguard in your parasitic DNA to back off and say, hey, whoa, don't want to kill you. Tastes too good.